Tonight we've a special edition of BBC London as we mark 1 year on since lockdown. We'll reflect on the impact it's had on all of us. Families who've lost loved ones, those fighting to help save lives, the essential workers keeping the city moving, and those lifting our spirits during incredibly tough times. It stands presiding over the capital, a symbol of survival during the Second World War. So perhaps St Paul's Cathedral feels an appropriate place to reflect on one of the most challenging times in living memory. A very warm welcome to the programme. Tonight we'll hear some of your stories as we mark 1 year since that moment on the 23rd of March 2020 when we were on the cusp of something that would drastically change our lives.
You must stay at home.
Working from home where possible and limiting social contact as the capital is some weeks ahead of the rest of the country in terms of the outbreak.
Hospitals in London have been described as facing a tsunami of coronavirus cases. A facility for thousands more is being created at the Excel Centre.
He had me and his sister holding him until he took his last breath.
It is completely unimaginable. None of us have ever seen anything like this.
We were fighting every single time. Every single patient that came in, we were just fighting to keep them going.
Tens of thousands of people across the city applauded from their doorsteps.
We have produced 26,000 homemade meals. We're not going to stop until the need stops.
All these doctors and nurses was absolutely outstanding.
Schools everywhere have a very different feel these days, but they're not letting coronavirus interrupt learning.
But we now have a new variant.
He has today declared a major incident across the capital.
I'm afraid this virus is out of control.
I have a patient who's probably going to reach end of life soon.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, well, surely I can't be in the first lot.
We thank God for people in the health system. God bless all of them.
We're seeing community numbers come down, we're seeing the vaccine being rolled out, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
We've just got to stay positive and hope that the end is in sight. I think that's our way of getting through it, definitely. Just take each day as it comes.
And taking each day as it comes is what we've been doing. But today, as we collectively pause to remember those who've died, a number of ceremonies have been taking place right across the capital, including the Mayor, together with a nurse and a bus driver, planting memorial trees at the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. And in Deptford, the London Ambulance Service, like many others, observed the 1-minute silence to remember their colleagues, NHS and care staff who lost their lives. Well, since going into national lockdown last March, we've reflected the impact over the past 12 months have had on people living in and around London in all sorts of ways. The loss of loved ones, the loss of jobs and livelihoods, and the loss of freedoms. Here are just some of your stories, and we thank you for sharing them.
Hi, I'm Beth. I lost my grandma in the first wave back in March. You know, it's coming up to a year for us and it still feels very raw. Me and my mum both felt like it wasn't her time yet because, you know, she was fit. She was probably fitter than me. I'm not very good when it comes to emotions, so I'm either crying my eyes out or I'm just not feeling any emotions really, and I think even that was really distressing because they only said 10 people at the funeral and we just decided not to have one because we just felt like the send-off we would give her is not the send-off that she deserves. So we've got her ashes and we're going to bury them when we can all get together. You're going to want to be with your loved ones and you can't. We haven't had our closure, but I mean my grandma worked in the same hospital that I work in, so I do it with a lot of pride, I guess, and I think that's what keeps me going. There's been a couple of times working in the hospital, I've been with patients that have passed away from COVID, and that's triggered back the memories, and I'll just feel it more for them, and it'll remind me of what I went through, and I know that their family's now going through exactly the same thing. So it has been hard, and where I haven't grieved properly, it's just not normal.
So with the pandemic, I had to close down my business, and I lost everything. Hello, I'm Michelle. I've been a florist in London for 17 years now. It was really nice. I have a good connection with customer. We did quite nice, great bunches, and we had a very nice, beautiful display outside the shop as well. It was very depressing. I was just so stressed. I was scared to lose my flat as well. An organization who help people who are at risk on being on the streets. They helped me finding a course online. We are learning how to help children at school. Probably going to miss having a business.
Hello, I'm Naomi. I'm 89, been shielding for a whole year. Of course, missing friends desperately, and relatives. I haven't been able to have my eyes tested, my teeth seen to, those things I miss. But I get a befriender on FaceTime. I also do yoga online, interesting lectures. My mind is being sharpened up more than it was prior to this all happening. Having been grown up through the war, we got used to being disciplined and told what to do and what not to do, and we did it, and we accepted the fact, and that's how I've been ever since. I've always tried to be positive, and I'm looking forward to getting some fish and chips round the corner on the 21st of June.
And just to say, we've plenty more of your stories and experiences online and on our social media. But just to say now, Reverend Canon James Milne joins me, and welcome to you, because at St Paul's you launched an online book of remembrance, didn't you?
We did indeed. We were so conscious that people weren't able to mourn or grieve and remember in ways they might otherwise have done. And so we set up this virtual book, and as you can see, there's photographs and names and messages which are really so very moving.
And this is for people of all faiths and beliefs, of no faiths?
All faiths, all beliefs, people in the United Kingdom, anyone who's died as a consequence of this terrible pandemic.
Now, we have in front of us a very special candle. Can you tell us the significance?
Absolutely. Let me light it for you first. This candle has burnt throughout the whole of the pandemic, day and night, as a sign of our prayers, our thoughts of all those affected by the pandemic, but also as a sign of hope, quite literally light in the darkness.
And of course, this past year, where some people haven't been able to be with their families at that moment, there is a sense of not just individual grief, but collective grief as a city, as a society.
Indeed. I mean, it really has been a very difficult time for us all. And I think that as we go forward, we must give ourselves time to grieve, both together as a community, as individuals, allow ourselves to grieve all the many different things that we've lost.
And just briefly, Father James, can I ask you, you're there for other people. How have you coped?
Well, it's been difficult for me, as it has been for everyone. My own father died last year, and
sorry to hear that.
I wasn't able to go and visit him before he died because he was in Scotland, I was here. But I think that's helped me understand just what other people have been going through and all the challenges that we all face.
And of course, you are looking forward to the reopening this weekend?
Very much so. We've already begun our preparations for Palm Sunday on this coming Sunday, and we're so much looking forward to welcoming people again to the cathedral.
I can see the expression on your face. It must be quite a moment.
It is a moment. It is a moment that a year on we're looking forward in hope to the future.
OK, well, for now, Father James, we will leave it there, but we will come back to you later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, some of those at the centre of the pandemic trying to save lives are, of course, as we know, our NHS staff in our hospitals. They stepped up and continue to do so amidst relentless and overwhelming pressure. Well, we've been back to St George's in Tooting, where we previously filmed with Frontline medics as they dealt with unprecedented challenges, and asked three of them, Dominic, Chloe and Hannah, to reflect on that past year.
I felt out my depth. Completely out my depth and helpless, and yeah, like I said, it's just indescribable. The whole day, I just, yeah.
1, 2.
Okay.
It was really strange being in hospital, seeing what was going on, and then walking out and seeing people going about their normal business, and knowing that they didn't really understand what was going on in there. And it was almost like two different worlds. But then you come back in the next shift and it was real, and it was very difficult.
Because I'm the junior sister, I felt guilty on my days off. I felt guilty I couldn't do more to help.
We have people in their 40s, their 30s, their 20s on our intensive care unit dying of COVID. So even if you don't think you are doing any harm by bending the rules a little, you are. It has a knock-on effect. I'm Dominic Spray, I'm the Clinical Director of Adult Critical Care at St George's Hospital. It's quite hard to keep your emotions in check when you're looking at some of that stuff back again. You know, some of me got angry when I looked at the second surge coming again, and you have to bite that down, I suppose.
I'm Hannah Packham. I'm the junior sister of the acute dependency unit. Today I'm the nurse in charge. I personally cry when I get home quite a lot, actually, at the moment. A lot of the staff were really apprehensive because this time they knew what was coming. So you kind of gear yourself up and you're just waiting for that moment you know it's arrived.
Hi, my name's Chloe. I am a senior staff nurse on Richmond AMU at St George's Hospital. It's the first Monday after Christmas and New Year's, and it's been one of the worst shifts of my entire life. Everybody wanted something from me, but I had to deal with the stuff that was going to save their life first before taking you to the toilet. It was, do I get somebody the toilet, or do I increase this person's oxygen, or go to the doctor? It's just overwhelming, the whole situation.
People ask you about it, they ask you what you think is going to happen, you know, and you can't just switch off very easily at all. It's always there.
You turn on the news and it's there, you go to work, it's there. I go home to my housemates and they'll ask me, oh, how has it been?
Most of us have come out of it stronger at what we do. We've learnt new skills and we've appreciated each other more than ever.
You have your own personal standard of the care that you want to give, and sometimes I felt like I could never ever give it. But could I have done any more? I don't think I could have.
It's just pride, actually. I think they've done an incredible job. Genuinely do. And I think we're very lucky to have all of them. You know, they've been under a lot of pressure. They're still, our ITU nurses are still working beyond their stretch, beyond their usual capacity, as are nurses across the hospital still. And I think they've just been exceptional. All the nurses have helped out.
I think my colleagues have gone like above and beyond, and are some of the kindest, most caring people I've ever met in my life.
We are more like family, and we can rely on each other quite heavily, and everyone's got your back if at a weak point.
What was really good was where everyone looked out for each other and spotted if someone was having a bad day, and, you know, gave them a virtual hug or whatever, and just G'd them up through it.
That's the only thing I'd say that really helped, is someone who knew how you felt.
You know, there is light at the end of the tunnel, but we're not out of it yet. We're still, it feels easier, but we're still nowhere near normal, and we can't normalise how we're working at the moment.
That sense there of, they mentioned parallel worlds as they deal with that continuous pressure. Well, aside from our incredibly dedicated NHS and care workers, there was, of course, also an army of Londoners helping to keep this city going. Gosh, the transport workers, teachers, police, shop workers and refuse collectors. Today, we thank them and the many other essential workers who ensured everything ran as well as it could through extraordinary times. Some of them have shared what it's been like for them over the past year.
I'm Claude Parchment. We're getting the nurses to work. We're getting the police officers, the shop workers who are feeding us, the delivery driver or dustbin man. We are getting those people to work daily. They're helping us to live. We're helping them to get to work. Morning, Mr. Press. Could I have some for my hand guard, please, and my mask?
Thank you very much, Claude.
You're welcome, sir. You're welcome.
Good morning, Stock About Garage. How can I help you?
People's behaviour towards drivers have changed significantly since the pandemic. On a lovely day like this, what more could you ask for? Happy passengers. How you doing, all right? Nice to see you. Take care. Nice and slow, yeah? You might get one or two passengers still. You might just please remind you to put your face mask on. You always get the odd one that wants to make a fuss about it. Put your mask on. Put your mask on. When I get getting on and getting off, you know, we really appreciate it when good morning, driver, thank you, driver.
Thank you, driver.
Stay safe, driver. We keep getting a lot of that now, people getting off the bus, stay safe, driver. That really makes us feel motivated to come back the next day and do this job over again. Thank you all for that.
My name is Khadija and I've been working at the co-op for the past 5 years. However, this past year has been one like no other. How are you today? Everything's just drastically changed, you know. During the first lockdown and this last lockdown, supermarkets are one of the only things that have remained open throughout. Throughout the pandemic, I feel like the community has come together more strongly.
Everybody's more aware of other people and the difficulties that so many people are facing. I think I'm going to need another bag.
Yeah. Have you got plans for on COVID lifts? I'm actually planning to go on holiday as soon as it's safe to do so. We're planning on going to Morocco. Oh, nice. We've always just felt like shop workers, I think, but we're seen as a vital and crucial part of the community now, not just shop workers, which is great. You know, while others are working from home and are not putting themselves at risk, essentially, we take the risk and we do that for our customers and for the wider community.
My name is Tyler. Our job is essential. We have to be out. We can't work from home. Just the amount of rubbish that we're collecting at the minute is making the day a lot longer. It's making it more stressful. We get quite a lot of elderly people and they're just, you know, stuck indoors having to shield. So it's nice that that one interaction you have with them could make their day. And it's nice to know that we are helping and we are serving a purpose.
Just remember, folks, we're not out of the woods yet. It's not over yet.
But there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel.
And hopefully it'll be over soon.
Feels quite emotional. The past year has seen many acts of kindness in such challenging times. We've reported on them and celebrated them. Restaurants and volunteers feeding NHS workers, Londoners helping others with their food shop, the donation of digital devices to help homeschooling, and people connecting with their neighbours like never before. Inspirational stories, including an 8-year-old whose words of kindness have lifted spirits in the capital. I'll let his dad tell you the story.
My name is Sonny. I live in Shepherd's Bush in West London. And my 8-year-old son sometimes says things that amaze me.
He has a way with words and he often says these profound little sayings that are quite original.
I don't want life to go back to normal, I want it to go back to better.
My little boy's name is Woody, and during lockdown he's been coming up with some interesting thoughts.
Why did COVID have to choose this planet?
Me and my wife Charlotte noticed that Woody had his own unique character when he was 2.
He used to run up and down the living room, backwards and forwards, reciting a book that he'd just been read. He knew it word for word within one reading.
Our son Woody was diagnosed as autistic when he was 3.
He does become fixated with things and he sometimes has to work things out his way.
And now he has his own way of working out what's been happening with the virus.
It never feels like lockdown with you.
He said it when we were driving, "Oh, look at lockdown, it's changed everything, it feels a bit strange," and he just turned to us and said, "It never feels like lockdown with you."
You know, he often whispers them as well, which is quite, I don't know, it makes it almost extra emotional.
I'll never run out of hugs for you. Lockdown's completely ruined hugs. Lol.
So I've decided to turn some of his phrases into lino-cut prints.
Woody helps me print it, and then I'll sometimes turn them into screen prints, sometimes we turn them into cards.
These are my words. I'm famous. I'm the author.
We actually got COVID and recovered, and there was a lot of anxiety in him.
It never feels like lockdown with you.
It's his way of getting out that worry and fear and frustration in any way he knows how.
Are you ready? Okay. There we go.
We decided to call them Woodisms.
Because it's something that no one else has said before.
And my boy thinks it's going to be okay in the end.
It's a little bad and a little good at the same time, but I'm sure we'll get through it soon. I want to spread happiness around the world to make people smile.
We're now selling the prints to raise money for a charity that helps autistic youngsters make the best of their life. We never know when Woody's going to come up with something good. But when he does, I'll be turning it into art so it isn't forgotten.
Woodisms, I like that. And on the note of kindness, Father James is still with me because that's what's helped so many of us get through this pandemic and will also, going forward, be just as important.
Absolutely. I think the acts of kindness that we've heard about have been great signs of hope throughout the whole of this pandemic, and I hope that these acts of kindness don't end with the pandemic. There'll always be vulnerable neighbours in our society needing help from one another. We'll all need to work together, and I hope that we carry on doing that from all that we've learned in this pandemic, that these acts of kindness really do continue way into the future.
I suppose we are a changed city, a changed society perhaps, and as we look to the future, of course we are now, in a vaccine rollout. What is your message to Londoners?
My message, I think, is that we all continue to work together, that we forge community wherever we can find it, that we, having seen new priorities, perhaps reassessed our priorities in life, continue to work together despite all our wonderful differences for the greater good and to help each other.
And of course, when this started a year ago, the first lockdown, perhaps people were fearful, uncertain. And now, is it fair to say it feels like it's moved to weariness and frustration? So perhaps that message is a harder one to swallow.
I think perhaps it is. I've certainly found the last lockdown to be perhaps more wearisome than some of the others. But I still see signs of hope, and I hope those signs of hope will continue to give us strength and hope as we carry on.
Okay, well, Father James, many thanks indeed. And that is where we say goodbye from St Paul's Cathedral, after a year in which we've seen the most difficult of times, but also seen the best in us. You can find many more of your stories and experiences on our website and social media, where you can join the conversation online. As we look to the future, we leave you with the words of a transport duo who captured the hearts of Londoners with their positive messages on tube boards across the network. Here is their poem, 1 Year On, written specially for you, from all of us on the London team. Thanks for being with us the whole of this year, and thanks very much for watching.
From the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, it felt like time had stopped, even though the world was still spinning. At the end of the day, Monday morning blues and Friday feelings no longer mattered. The days and nights felt the same and were filled with uncertainty, anxiety and stress.
Heroes emerged as we tried to flatten the curve. Clapping for the NHS, the key workers and the carers every Thursday night. While schools and offices were closed, children and adults were learning and working together.
Public transport in London felt empty, high streets were not thriving and tourist attractions went unseen.
For over a year in the darkness, we have had to be brave and resilient as we wait for the brilliance of a new day and the sunrise.
People lost loved ones, businesses closed and thousands lost jobs and careers.
Occasions, events and holidays and celebrations got cancelled and postponed.
As so many struggled with mental health and their fears.
Like every place in the world, the people of London and its communities are stronger together and need to be there for each other.